I get onto the dock, I see him, it looked like he was taking off his shoes, jumps in the water. So as soon as he gets probably 20 feet away from Diesel, I issue a challenge. I let Diesel go to engage. Diesel never let go of his grip.
It's time for the In It or Win It podcast with your host, Garret.
Folks, check it out. We are back with another exciting podcast, and we have Deputy Mike Gerholt with us here from Manatee County Sheriff's Office. He's part of their K-9 unit, and he is here for one specific reason and one specific reason only. He has one of the most badass police K-9 deployments I have ever seen, captured on a helicopter camera with FLIR. You see everything, and it's exciting, it's funny, and it's just really good tactics were deployed to bring some bad guy to justice, and we're going to talk you through it from point A to point Z, everything that happened, and overlay the actual footage from the helicopter, so you're seeing it live in person, exactly what happened. But we actually have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mike Gerholt, here to walk us and talk us through everything that happened that day. So thank you for joining us, Mike. And before we get started, we'll just take a moment to introduce yourself and a little bit about you and how long you've been on, etc. So,
Worked for the Manatee County Sheriff's Office for 25 years now. Transferred to the K-9 unit 15 years ago.
So you've been in the unit 15 years.
Have.
And your K-9 partner now is?
K-9 Diesel.
And Diesel's the one we're going to see in the video.
Correct.
All right. And how long have you been working with Diesel?
I got him when he was 15 months, and he just turned 6 years old in April.
So like four and a half, 5 years?
Exactly.
And Diesel's the one in the video. How long have you been working with Diesel at that point?
This was 2 years ago, so I think it was only just over 2 years at that point of the deployment.
And Diesel is your second dog, third dog? Third dog. Okay, so veteran not only of the agency, but also in the K-9 unit at this point in time now, and even back then, which now the bite is what, a couple years old?
Correct, September of 2020.
All right, so take us back there to September of 2020. You're on patrol, and a call comes out?
I was a resident of a well-known high-end area, called in a person going through vehicles. Patrol units converge in the area. Description was given of the suspect. One of the patrol units saw a subject on a bicycle matching said description, went out with him, initiated the blue lights, got out of their patrol vehicle. He actually did stop, and as soon as the deputy tried to make contact with him by approaching him on foot, he took off on his bicycle.
And what time of day is this?
I want to say it was like 11:30 at night.
So we got 11:30 at night. We got what we consider car hoppers, or a car burglar, trying different door handles. What they're looking for is keys so they can steal a car. They're looking for firearms that people leave in vehicles. They're looking for checks and credit cards and money that someone may have left behind, jewelry. So these are bad dudes, and you know, we have to be cautious. I'm always thinking of these car hoppers. Their number one thing they're looking for is firearms. So we got a potentially armed subject that's just run from the police, 11 o'clock at night, high-end area, and tell us from there what happens. So he bails on foot, or he's running on foot?
He's running on his bike at this point. Deputy loses sight as he rounds a corner. Deputy does locate the bicycle in the front yard, ditched. Helicopter is en route, and at that time comes upon scene. Starts canvassing the area, actually finds a subject that enters a back lanai of one of the residents.
He's directly in that backyard, guys.
We start setting up a perimeter around the area. Subject must have heard the helicopter or heard one of the deputies on scene, so he began running and jumping several fences. I was actually the second K-9 handler on scene. The first K-9 handler was my partner, and he was getting his dog out and trailing, but obviously the guy never stopped jumping fences, so that handler was far enough behind, so I took a perimeter spot. And updates from the helicopter, which way he was heading.
Guys, he's running south from your yard. He's running south from your yard. He's in the two houses south of you guys now, running southbound.
Obviously he was heading right towards me. I didn't know where the dog was at the time. I actually see him pass in front of me, maybe 150 yards, and he crosses over the road into another resident side yard. I notified the K-9 handler. He had just ran past me. He gave me the okay that he was too far behind to go ahead and deploy with Diesel. at which time I did.
Now I'm getting excited because we're getting there. So now the subject's 150 yards or at least that far away from you.
Correct.
You have a rough idea where he just was heading. You still got the bird overhead giving you
Correct.
play-by-play, and you bring out K-9 Diesel.
I did. I brought Diesel.
And let's describe Diesel for the folks at home. What kind of dog is he?
He's a Belgian Malinois. He's approximately 68 pounds.
Okay. And I actually just took a bite from him a couple hours ago, and he is a force to be reckoned with. A very, very strong dog. Bites hard, and what we call a land shark. The dog shakes hard. I mean, it is about tore my arm out of its socket. So K-9 Diesel is no pet dog, so to speak. He's a tough customer. And so you bring this beast of a dog out, K-9 Diesel.
Bring him, get him on the ground to where I last saw the subject, began tracking him between the houses. Unbeknownst to me, that direction was leading right towards the water. Locate the subject sitting at the end of, it was a very long dock.
Hey, on that dock, K-9, to your right. He's out on that dock.
And
You got any backup with you at this point?
at that point, there was a backup in tow behind me. I get onto the dock. I see him. It looked like he was taking off his shoes. So I challenge him immediately, jumps in the water, and starts treading water away from the dock. I'm issuing him challenges. At this time, I'm just on my 10-foot tracking lead, so I didn't feel safe enough to deploy Diesel at that time because he was too far from the dock at that point.
No. And so what are the concerns when you have, it's a tricky situation. We got a subject in the water, and this is a lake, an ocean? What is this?
It's the bay.
The bay,
Yes.
okay. So we got a subject out in the water. We can't see his hands. We can't see his feet. We don't know what he has on his person. What would keep you from deploying your dog at that moment? What are the concerns?
My main concern was the dog latching onto him and him trying to drown my partner.
Right.
10-foot lead, obviously, I couldn't, keep him tethered. So at that point, I'd have to go in, which obviously would put us both in danger. So,
Right. Yeah, and it doesn't make sense for you to, first off, very difficult, if not near impossible, to swim with 25, 30 plus pounds of gear on you.
Correct.
Most of your gear is not going to work once it's submerged in salt water. There goes your radio, and now you're getting your gun wet and filled with water. And so it doesn't make sense for you to go out there. So you're running out of options at this point.
correct.
So this is where it gets exciting. This is where the veteran and all his experience comes in. And whereas maybe younger, rookier cops would have jumped the gun and who knows, maybe even jumped in after him and lost their cool, you come up with a plan.
I do. Subject is still swimming out away from the dock.
Is he talking to you at this point?
He's not conversing at all. Helicopter and I are talking, and again, they're not using their spotlight, they're just using their flare. So I speak to the pilot, who I know very well. I inform him to use the spotlight, start spotlighting the area that he initially jumped in, and start working away the opposite area as if we were to lose him, and just scanning the area to see if we could find him again.
Even though you know exactly where he is.
Even though we knew exactly
So
where
you're
he
trying
is.
to give the illusion that you've lost him.
Correct.
You give anything over in person or over the radio to indicate, hey, we don't know where this guy is?
I simply relayed to the other units on scene, because we had several deputies that were going to other docks. I said, hey, back off, get into the shadows, make this guy feel like we can't find him and we're searching elsewhere. So the plan works.
So you peel back?
I peel back, I get off the dock, I go into the shadows, and I'm kind of leapfrogging because he's now swimming south from where he initially jumped in, and the helicopter is searching north. So as I'm leapfrogging into these backyards, I find what is a 30-foot nylon lead that's tethered to like a brick entry point of a back porch where someone would tether their dog and just leave them out there to run free.
How lucky for you, huh?
And so I saw it, and
You commandeered that leash?
I did, and it was actually a purple leash, so that's why it stood out.
Okay.
So I commandeered that leash, went a couple of houses further south, saw the perfect house that I would try to get up into the backyard if I was a criminal trying to avoid the police. Pitch dark, huge banyan tree, no lights on the residents were on. There was no porch lights, there was no dock lights, nothing on. So I knew this was probably going to be the point where he tried to make his exit.
So you're setting up an ambush.
I am.
All right.
So I'm back underneath the banyan tree. I have Diesel probably 10 feet, 12 feet out of down in front of me. And I could see the guy's head bobbing.
Mm-hmm.
So he slowly makes his way to the dock.
And you guys are being radio silent,
Correct.
no flashlights.
Correct.
Blacked out.
I've got my earpiece in, so you know I'm not transmitting anything. I do have a backup deputy with me, and there were several more in the other yard adjacent to us. So I see him trying to get up on the dock, and it was real rocky, the bank was. So I waited for him to actually commit and get onto the actual ground before I even challenged him. So as soon as he gets probably 20 feet away from Diesel, I issue a challenge, spotlight him with my flashlight, turns, starts running towards the water. It's when I let Diesel go to engage. The first bite, I think he actually engaged him as he was hitting the water, so I think Diesel got a mouthful, so he immediately let go.
Mouthful of water?
Mouthful of water, sorry, yes. Mouthful of water. Diesel started coming back to the bank. I saw bad guy swimming away again, so I again encouraged the engagement. Diesel swam out to him, engaged him at that time, and then I just started reeling him in.
So where's he ended up biting him?
In the left arm.
Left arm.
Left arm, yeah.
And you used that 30-foot purple line that you had commandeered and reel him in like a fish.
I did. I had that tethered to my 10-foot tracking lead, so I had plenty.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So you had a 40-foot line at this point?
I did.
And you were able to successfully reel him all the way in?
Yes.
And I'm sure he wasn't a happy customer at that point.
He was not. He was wet and in pain.
But he held on to it like a good dog would, stayed on the bite, and until you got him on shore?
I did. Once he was on shore, he followed my commands to lay down, removed Diesel from his grasp, and told the backup units to go ahead and 10-15 him, put him in custody.
There you go. And that was the end of that. And just a fantastic story, excellent use of tactics and your wit and just being, you know, sometimes we got to be sneakier than the bad guy and plan ahead and, like you said, think like the bad guy. Where would he get out? And so it really reminds me, when I watch that, it reminds me of a couple of deployments I went on with my father, even before I was a canine handler. And he would do the same thing. Sometimes we have multiple dogs in the block. And he's like, Garrett, you don't want to be the loud one. You want to turn the radio down. You want to just hide under the thickest tree you can and be as quiet as you can, because maybe the dog in the other yard will cause him to jump in our yard, and you'll get your payday.
100%,
And
yeah.
when I watched it the first time, and I've seen it multiple times since then, it always reminds me of that. And just a classic canine deployment, one that goes down in history as one of the top ones. We actually use that video when we're teaching across the country, and we're trying to kill some time and show some canine handlers a good time. And every time we play that, like, basically the room erupts with like, yeah, we got him.
Yeah.
And so it's super exciting to watch, and I hope when you guys see it, you guys and gals out there watching, that you have just as much excitement seeing it yourself. So make sure you like, share, subscribe. I want to thank Mike for taking his time to come on our podcast and give us some insight into one of the best dog bites I've ever seen. So thank you, Mike, for joining us. Really
Absolutely.
appreciate it. All right, folks, make sure to like, share, subscribe. We're going to have more content coming your way. Make sure you post in the comments below what you think about this video, and if you have any ideas for future videos. So thanks again, and we will see you on the next one.